The next thing is we'll start with a broad goal of how do we convert a sentence into a vector of numbers. So that's our broad goal, because most of the things that NLP is based on, it could be building recommendation systems, it could be something else where you have semantic search, or even Google retrieves your search query. Everything is built on this fundamental idea of converting your input text into some kind of vector of numbers, and converting the documents that are behind the scenes into some vector of numbers, and matching those and retrieving the correct results. This is basically the foundation principle of NLP, to convert any text into a vector of numbers. The text could be a single word, it could be a sentence, it could be a paragraph or a long collection of paragraphs, any of these things. Now let's understand one fundamental thing and start with intuition. So first thing is that I have 4 sentences. For short understanding and for clear understanding, I took these 4 sentences. But behind the scenes, imagine that these 4 sentences are just movie plots. So each of them is a movie plot that we collected. So in essentially speaking, we are trying to convert our movie plots also into some kind of vector. But for simplicity, just to operate, we'll see how we can convert each of them into a vector and what are the foundational concepts behind that. So first thing is, Ramsri is teaching an NLP course. If I have that sentence, my first intuition is to tokenize it. What do I mean by tokenization? Splitting the sentence into words. Now, how you split could depend on various algorithms, techniques that you use, but on a simple level, if you split by space, then you have Ramsri is teaching an NLP course. You have 6 words. And what is the easiest way to convert this sentence into some kind of vector is simply you collect the frequency of each word within this sentence. So how frequent is Ramsri in this sentence? If there are total 6 words and Ramsri occurs only once, then 1/6 is the frequency of this. Let's call this thing as term frequency. So the word term frequency just represents that how many times a particular word occurs in a sentence or in a document, however you want to call it. And then we capture that with this value. Basically, Ramsri occurs just one time in this, and there are 6 words. So I can directly convert, instead of Ramsri is teaching an NLP course, I can represent this with each with its own frequency of the word frequency. So 0.166 is Ramsri's converted word to value. Now is also occurs the same way. Now let's say if you got course twice, you would do the same thing, which is 2 by how many ever words you have. Similarly, all we are doing is collecting the frequency of occurrence of that word and the total number of words within that, and we are using that here. And second thing that we want to do is, now we achieved one very simplistic way of converting this sentence into a vector. Now instead of seeing this sentence, try to imagine this vector. We have already created a base version of that. Now the simplistic thing we can do is that we don't need these words that are not very important. So they are called as stop words in technical sense. That's what we are going to understand. So we are going to remove those stop words. So once you remove those stop words, you are still keeping your word frequency based on the total count of words that are present in the corpus or sentence or document, but we are just removing our stop words here. So once stop words are removed, we get this thing, which is Ramsri teaching NLP course, and you have these frequencies here. Now, the next thing that you can do is someone will ask you, okay, you converted Ramsri's teaching an NLP course to a vector. Great. But I want to create a uniform vector that represents all the documents that are there. Then simply what you do is you go and collect all the words, all the unique words that occur in all the documents. So Ramsri teaching NLP course, Mark, computer, vision, JSON, all these are unique words that occur in the document. And this is one long vector that I created. Now, if I want to convert this sentence into a vector, all I do is I just go to only those places where those words are available that are present in this sentence and fill them up. So if you take sentence 1, only 4 words are filled. Now, if you take sentence 4, I'm correspondingly filling JSON, JSON, computer vision, course, teaching. All these things are filled accordingly. And why is the value 0.142 is simply because right now you have 7 words here and JSON's frequency is 1 by 7. So JSON's frequency comes out to be 0.142. Now, what has happened is that you can create one single vector that is uniform across all the documents that you have. So you can create one long vector that can be representative of any sentence that you have here. And right now it's only capturing term frequency, which is the presence of Ramsri in this, or presence of the words in each sentence in this. Just give me 1 second. I think there's some background noise. I'll try to reduce that. Sorry, my kid was playing, so he was making a lot of noise. Yeah. Great. So we are back now, and as of now, we are able to convert any sentence into a uniform vector. That's what we did here. And here we only captured one thing, which is how often a word comes within the sentence. That's what we are able to capture here. And in the TF-ID of equation, the first one, which is term frequency, is this. Now, let's move on and understand one more thing, which is document frequency. What are the other semantics that you can capture, or statistics about the word that you can capture is basically how often a word occurs within the documents. So if you think about the word Ramsri, it appears in 2 out of 4 documents. So 2 by 4 is the value and 0.5 is the value for that. And teaching occurs in every single sentence. So the value is 1. Essentially, you have 4 by 4. So the value teaching occurs in every single sentence. So you got 4 by 4. And NLP again occurs in only 2 different sentences. So you have the document frequency as 2 by 4. So essentially, document frequency of any word is how many times that word appears across documents divided by the total number of documents. Again, whenever I say document, in your mind, go and imagine just the movie plots. So each document is a movie plot. Now, Simply speaking, let's say Batman, that word might occur in Batman Begins, it might occur 10 times, and total there might be 1000 words. So 10 by thousands, 10 by 1000 is the term frequency of Batman within the Batman Begins movie or document. Now, the word Batman could occur in maybe 20-30 movies that released across multiple years. So out of the total 3000 or so movies that we collected, if Batman occurred in only 20 movies, then 20 by 3000 is the document frequency. So essentially we captured two things, which is the term frequency, which is how often a word occurs within a document, and document frequency, which is how often a word occurs across documents. Now, let's understand intuitively what are the characteristics of an important word. How do you say a word is important? Simply by using two different things intuitively. Again, if a word occurs very frequently in one document, but it is very rare in across documents, then you know that it is a keyword. That is one of the prime things that you need to remember. So let's say Ramsey occurs, or let's say Mark occurs in only one sentence or one document. So it is a rare word, and you know that Mark is not present in anything else. And excuse me, assume that we are creating an essay on Mark, then Mark is going to appear in that long essay multiple times, right? So the term frequency of Mark is very high, but the document frequency is very low. That's when you know that you found an important word. So simply speaking, a word is important if it frequently occurs in a document or in small set of documents, and it is rare across other documents, then you know that the word is an important word. So for an important word, term frequency is high and document frequency is low.
Hey Ramshri, sorry to interrupt. I mean, in this context, say these four sentences are there. So in that case, what is the document here? A single sentence, or it is a set of four sentences?
Okay. A document is a single sentence.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And when we are calculating this IDF, so you said that say the occurrence of Mark is very less across all the documents.
Yeah. By that I mean Mark is coming only once in these four documents, whereas Ramsri comes in two documents. Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. Feel free to. Anybody else has any questions, or do
Maybe
you
you can also throw some light on what do we mean important word, right? Important for what? I mean, what is the task towards which we are talking about importance or whatever? Like, I think maybe that might help.
Great point. So one thing is that the importance of a word is subjective. Let's establish that. Second thing is we are trying to first convert our words into a vector, and we want to convert such that we want to give high scores to words that are important, in the sense that how we define importance is something little bit subjective, but we want to create a vector such that wherever there are key concepts, keywords, or of that have more information that carry more information than other words, we want to give high score to that. That is on a high level that we want to achieve. And why we want to achieve is because once we are able to convert a sentence or a word or a document or collection of documents into a vector, we can do vector to vector operations to find similar or extract important, let's say important sentences or important words even once you get the distribution semantics of a word. So we are trying to collect statistically some keywords and assign score where the score is higher for keywords and lesser for non-important keywords. I think the word importance, I would say kind of it's subjective, but we can go ahead with the assumption that we are trying to go towards a goal where you're trying to create a vector, and in that vector, whatever words that are prime or keywords or things like that, they should have higher score. Yeah.
So Ramturi, basically what I mean out of this, we are going to, I mean, if we go by the line, the word is important if it is frequently occurs in a document, but it is rare in other documents. So in order to find this, we are going to create two arrays. One is of term frequency and another is of in IDF, rather inverse frequency. So now my point is like we will be comparing these two values and we'll be deciding on which word is important and which I mean which is rare but important in the document.
Yeah, so the answer is true, which is we are going to create an attribute for word importance by multiplying these two, which is term frequency and inverse document frequency. I'll explain inverse document frequency in a bit, but simply put, we are trying to calculate word importance by combining these two intuitive parameters, which is it should, if it occurs frequently and is rare, we want to capture these two things into an equation or some mathematical function. Yeah.
Okay, so we will basically creating a vector of a combination of term frequency and inverse document frequency, right?
Yes.
Okay.
So further slides will further clarify exactly those multiplication, etc. But that is the answer. Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay, great. So one thing is document frequency. We have come across document frequency, which is how frequent a particular word is across documents. Now, in order to calculate word importance, what we realize is that word importance is directly proportional to term frequency. That is, for a given document, if a word occurs a lot of times, it's a keyword or important word for the document. That part we have established. So word importance for the document is directly related to term frequency, which is number of times that word comes divided by the total words in the document. Now again, word importance also has so within the document we know the word importance, but how do we get global word importance is because is through checking the word importance, which is document frequency across all the documents. But one thing is that the lesser the document frequency is, the higher the word importance. So simply put, word importance is inversely proportional to document frequency or directly proportional to 1 by document frequency. And we call this 1 by document frequency as inverse document frequency. And overall, the goal is that word importance can be calculated by multiplying these two things, term frequency multiplied with inverse document frequency, or in other words, term frequency divided by document frequency, or whatever multiplication factor that we have, k or something like that. because when you have some direct proportionality or indirect proportionality, you can just combine them with a constant factor. That's what it is. So let's move on to understanding more. So this document frequency, when we are calculating inverse document frequency, there are few other small parameters that we need to consider. What are they? First thing is that we established that IDF is 1 by document frequency. That is essentially 1 divided by number of times, let's say for RAM, let's take a simple example of word Ramsri. How many times Ramsri occurs and how many across documents, and how many documents are there in total. Indirectly, if we just take this thing, then it's total documents divided by number of times Ramsri occurs in the documents. So that is the inverse document frequency. Now, one thing to remember is that, for example, if in a given document, we are calculating TF IDF, we know that TF is always a fraction because it's the number of times Ramsri occurs in the document divided by total number of words in the document. So all the time, the words will be at least equivalent to number of times Ramsri occurs or higher. So in our case, where we had Ramsri's teaching an NLP course, it's 1/6, right? But what happens with IDF is that, let's say you have 10,000 documents or 10,000 movie plots. Then Batman or Ramsri or these words might come in only 1 or 2 documents. Then if you try to take IDF, which is inverse document frequency, you get 10,000 divided by 2, which is 5,000, right? So basically, when you are multiplying TF with IDF, usually TF is in the fraction range and IDF is always in like thousands, or even if you have 1 million documents, then you get to 1 million range, right? So in order to multiply those two things, you need to bring them onto the same scale, somewhat in a similar scale. And the easiest way to convert something exponential or high into a lower operating scale is to apply logarithm on it, because log 1 is 0 and log 10 is 1. And even if you have 10,000, the log of that is 4. And it's a linearly increasing function as well. So the importance is not lost, but rather you are capturing it into instead of a dynamic range that can go from like 0 to 5,000, 10,000, 1 million, you are trying to keep it in a smaller range by applying logarithm on it. So the IDF formula, we simply add a logarithm to whatever we already have, so that when we are multiplying TF with IDF, we get into a operable zone. Now, one more thing is that, okay. So if you're trying to calculate IDF of something, but that word is not present at all, then what we do is basically, sorry, let me take one step back, which is if you're trying to calculate IDF of a word, and let's say that word occurs in all the documents. For example, here teaching occurs in all the documents. Then what happens is that when you're trying to calculate IDF of teaching, then that's present in 4 documents, and the total number of documents are also 4. So basically you get 0. If you have, because you have logged 4 by 4, you get 0. When you want to calculate term frequency of something, you want to multiply TF with IDF. So instead of, if you have 0, then whatever the term frequency is, that is also lost, because in the multiplication you get essentially 0, right? So instead of that thing happening, what happens is that we add +1 to the score, because that's not going to change the global IDF because it's offset by 1 all the time. So we add 1 more. Then there is one more small thing, which is if a word does not exist at all, then you have divide by 0 error, right? So to offset that, we usually had +1 at the denominator as well as numerator. By that I mean, if you go to the actual TF-IDF, if you go to the actual IDF definition that is used in libraries like scikit-learn or anywhere where IDF is calculated, you will realize that the formula is not just log 1 by DF, rather you have +1s added at several places because of these things, which is when you are multiplying TF with IDF, you don't want IDF to be 0, so you add an offset here, and you don't want to have divide by 0 errors, so you add +1 as well as +1 at the top as well. So this is like the final formula. Now let me explain in the sense that for every word you will calculate TF-IDF. So for example, let's take in our case the word Batman. First, what you do is, if TF-IDF is calculated, TF-IDF vector is calculated for every movie plot. For example, you take Batman Begins, then first you calculate term frequency. Maybe the word Batman occurs in the Batman Begins movie plot, let's say 10 times. And then you have in total 10,000 words. Then 10 divided by 10,000 is the term frequency. Now inverse document frequency, again you go and see in how many movies did the word Batman occur at all. You're just checking if the word Batman existed in other movies or not. Then you know that there are Lego Batman movie, and maybe like even DC movies might have the word Batman, etc. Right? So perhaps assume that you got in 30 movies, you got Batman. Then you go and calculate IDF, which is essentially 30 for N word here, and here 3000 for capital N, and you calculate. And now to get TF-IDF, you just multiply TF-IDF values that we calculated and get some value. Now the main thing is that IDF is only calculated only once for the whole corpus, because once you have 3000 or 3500 movies, you will just go ahead and calculate IDF for every word. That means first thing that you will do is get all the unique words in all the movies that are present. Maybe you get 100,000 unique words, so be it. Now you create a 100,000 unique word array, just like you see here, Ramsri teaching NLP, right? After removing stop words, you get the 100,000 word unique array, and for each of the word, you will calculate IDF. So whenever you're calculating TF-IDF, the TF is particular to the document that you're calculating, and IDF can be pre-calculated on the whole corpus of data and just kept as a single long vector that is already there. Whenever you're calculating TF-IDF, you just get the TF vector like this, and you multiply correspondingly with the IDF vector. Now the main thing is that since your TF-IDF vector needs to match with the, TF vector needs to match with the IDF vector, you will even create a very sparse array that has only some values for a given document by calculating TF values. For the rest of the words, for the, let's say if your document has only 1000 words, you will go ahead and create 100,000 word vector itself. But in only those 1000 words, you'll put values and the rest of them will be 0. Now you can do a corresponding multiplication of TF vector and the IDF pre-calculated vector and get the TF-IDF scores for all the words that are present in a given document. That is essentially what TF-IDF is. And I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. And we'll see that in code as well and operate on our document movie plots. But I can take any questions that you have. Yeah. Does anyone have any questions?
Yes.
Yeah.
Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, so basically the uncommon words will get the more TF-IDF scores, right? So on the whole high level.
Yeah. So TF-IDF, so the whole vector TF-IDF is calculated for one document. So in our case, let's talk about movie plots because that's intuitive for us, right? So let's say you take Batman Begins movie or something like that. Then you calculate a TF-IDF vector for Batman Begins movie itself. And the words that are very common in Batman movie, but are not common elsewhere across all the movie plots, they will get the highest score. Yeah.
Okay, thanks.
Hey, Ramsri, now when we are talking about this document frequency and when we are actually calculating this TF-IDF score and relating it to the importance, uh, now how will we take care of the words which have, uh, double meaning? I mean, two contexts. Say, for example, if we have, say, word as cricket. Now, cricket is a game as well, and cricket is an animal as well.
Right.
So now, what will happen is like if we have, say, two documents with the cricket as a context, one is a game, another is a animal. So in that case, my document frequency will be more for the same word.
Yeah.
And when we calculate the inverse, what will happen is like that word will have more TF-IDF score or rather lesser. I'm confused between that, but it will basically will give a wrong context for
Yes.
that particular word. So
Right.
how this TF-IDF score can we say that it will result in giving finding out the importance of a particular word?
Great question. So I'll answer two additional things as well with this, which is, so first coming to your point, this is the shortcoming of TF-IDF, where a word is not word sense disambiguated. By that I mean, there will be only one entry for the word cricket. It could have come in the context of the game or cricket as a insect as well. So there'll be only one entry and we won't be able to distinguish them with TF-IDF logic. So TF-IDF logic will think and associate cricket with only one context. Actually, it even doesn't even know the context. It just knows the words and it will create a column. That's it. So the short answer is that it is a shortcoming of TF-IDF that we won't be able to resolve cricket in both contexts. And TF-IDF will give kind of like wrong output in the sense that it won't be perfect when we are trying to do matching. And that is a shortcoming of TF-IDF. Similarly, extending that, let's say there's a sentence like Ramsri is teaching an NLP course and Ramsri teaches an NLP course. Technically speaking, teaching and teaches, we want to put that in similar column when we are comparing, right? So again, that will also be a problem in TF-IDF, which usually is solved by something called as lemmatization. Essentially, you convert every verb into its root form. So teaching will be converted into teach, teaches will be converted into teach, taught will be converted into teach, and everything will come under one single column. So the short answer is that TF-IDF cannot handle the edge case that you said, and that's why newer models have come in, which will take into contextual meaning and create a vector that is contextualized. So there will be a different vector created for cricket, the insect, cricket, the movie, with advanced models, not with TF-IDF. Yeah.
Cool. Thanks, Ramsri.
Yeah. Anyone else has a question? Okay. Looks like we don't have any question. So let's see. So we'll go on to the TF-ID of calculation, but we'll not finish the notebook. Rather, we'll just see outline. We'll see the outline of the notebook, and we'll go through TF-ID of calculation and running the notebook in the next week's lesson. But for now, I'll just walk you through a brief of everything. If in case if anyone wants to run on their own and just see. Okay. So here we are getting movie plots. Again, this is Batman Begins movie plot. So first thing is that how do we split this into text? So as I mentioned, you can split it by spaces, or you can use some regular expressions. Regular expressions are basically pattern matching on strings. So you can use those algorithms, because if you have something like Ram Sri's, then technically you don't know how to split this. Do you want to split Ramsri and then quote and S again? Or if you have something like comma, like you have comma with, let's say, bats, do you want to split the comma and keep it with the word itself, or do you want to split it separately? Those things are all kind of like subjective and to your use case defined. But usually you do a pre-processing with regular expressions on before you are converting your text to words or whatever you want to split it on. Then you build your TF-ID of algorithms on that. So here I'm calculating term frequency, which is in any given document. Here the document is just Batman Begins movie. I'm counting the words. So how many times a word like the comes, how many times Gotham comes, or young Bruce, these come, divided by the total number of words in the document. So essentially, once you do that, you get term frequency. You can see that Gotham is 0.01402 and city is this, right? Simply put, how many times Gotham occurred in Batman Begins movie? Maybe 6 times, divided by the total number of words, maybe 100 or 1000, how many ever words were there, and you get this. So this is the term frequency dictionary that you got. Then you can similarly go ahead and calculate document frequency and inverse document frequency as well. So I've shown you how to calculate those as well, and I've explained about the math.log, why we use logarithm, etc., right? And simply put, you will use a library scikit-learn and do TF-ID of automatically, instead of you calculating term frequency and you calculating document frequency. You can directly go ahead and use this library to calculate TF-ID of values using sklearn. It has a function called as TF-ID of vectorizer, and you can calculate all those values. And I've created some examples, which is how do you extract keywords using TF-ID of, how do you summarize document with TF-ID of, and how do you find similar documents using TF-ID of. So if you give Batman Begins plot, how do you get, let's say, the sequel movie or Lego Batman, other similar movies automatically using TF-ID of? That's what we are going to see in the next section. But if anyone wants to go through, I've given you a rough idea. I think we are at the end of the time, so I'll take questions here. Yeah.